This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Wednesday, October 16th of 2024. We are so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I talk with the folks at CLAAS about the new announcement they made of the Volto tedders and disco mowers for the 2025 hay season for your cattle producers out there. Exciting to hear about that announcement. We will have that in a little bit, but first, let's hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soy Checkoff.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, I had the privilege today to talk with Mark Scuffham of CLAAS to discuss those new Volto tedders and disco mowers from the CLAAS lineup. Now, these are expansions to the lineup that already exists. A lot of this, if you don't know already, that CLAAS is a European company. A lot of these expanded models have been available in Europe. They're bringing it to North America for the first time. Just some bigger models that are allowing for more production here in North America. And here's our conversation. We are here with Mark Scuffham of CLAAS Hay Tools, and today we're looking at the Volto tedder and the disco mower lines. Now, there's been some expanded lines that were introduced in Europe previously. Now they're coming to North America. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us today. And first off, could you tell us a little bit about how long these lines, this expanded line, has been available in Europe and why it's coming to North America?
Yes, Riley. So these expanded lines, they actually just introduced them this summer, or they'll be available for purchase for the 2025 season. We have had a few of the early ones over here in the U.S. so we can get a feel for them and to see how they're working in the North American conditions, and very positive about how they've been working and the benefits they're adding to the customers in North America and the U.S.
And then, Mark, let's start off with the Volto tedders. First off, what kind of expansion are we seeing that's being brought to North America, and what advantages does that Volto line offer compared to the rest of the industry?
So the CLAAS Volto line, we are expanding it out to the Volto 1500, which is a 49-foot, 6-inch tedder. And the reason we're going that way is a lot has to do with labor and other factors, but people want to get more done, less time, and spend a lot less time in the field. So what we did with this is we're finding we're at the limits of our current one, which is the line Volto 1300, which is a 42-foot, 7-inch one, which we are introducing a new version of it as well. And we changed things out, so we have a new PermaLink HD system on it with finger clutches, so it's a lot heavier duty. We also new gearboxes that are oil filled. They're a lot heavier duty because we understand when you're getting that big, and with a lot of the changing crops in the U.S., you're putting more power through the gearboxes, as well as you're putting more strain on all the drive systems. So we beefed everything up to accommodate those conditions.
And then does that address, was that kind of some things that you were hearing from producers previously with the Volto line, maybe some issues that they were hoping that would be addressed, and that's been seen through this expansion?
We were starting to see where we're hitting the limits of our current design, so that's one of the reasons we were developing a new design to accommodate our customers as we're hitting that maximum width and capacity we could currently do. So that's why we're now getting bigger to meet our customer needs, as well as beefing everything up to handle all the different crops that people are wanting to tend in the U.S. that previously some of the things like Sudan, guys were not tending that out, and now they are. which puts a lot more strain on the teders.
And then looking at the disco mower side of things, what changes did we see there on that lineup that it's now coming to the U.S.?
So for the disco line, a lot of what we did was what we call a facelift. So we're updating a lot of the designs to meet the market needs. So we updated the Disco 9300 series as well as the Disco 1100 non-conditioning unit, which we're calling the Disco 1100 Comfort. And a lot of the things we did was things that were already introduced on our Disco 9700 RCAS, which was introduced last year, is we put heavier clutches onto the mowers for handling the different crops. And for, as you know, there's a lot of foreign material that sometimes gets dumped into the field, like cement chunks from when they're spreading manure. So the heavier clutches kind of help with the dry system and everything else. So we introduced a lot of things on there just to improve the overall functionality and durability of machines in the fields.
And then when we're looking at this product line specifically for the mower, you mentioned different crops for the tedder, and that was kind of a point that you guys were looking at when looking at the limits of the previous models. When it comes to the disco mower, was that something that was being considered as well, as we're looking at kind of maybe different experimental crops that this mower might have to work through?
A little bit. One of the things we have changed is on the Disco series. We went from the Disco 9200 RC to the Disco 9300 RC DRD. So DRD stands for double roll drive. So with some of these bigger crops and everything that we are now running through with triple mowers, both rolls need to be driven to help pull that and process that crop. And that was a limit on our previous roll machines where it was a single roll drive where the rolls have to interlock. When you're running heavy, thick crops through, sometimes they could separate, which would cause the top roll to stop spinning and could result in the machine plugging. So that's one of the reasons we have gone to this double roll drive system with it's a scissor type gearbox, so it's very robust and it keeps both rolls turning in sync all the time. So it's been a really great design for us, and it's really helped us kind of expand our market with the different crops and materials people are now pushing through their triple mowers.
And then Mark, for both of these expanded lines, obviously looking for that availability for the next growing season on the crop. So for anyone who would like to get in touch and learn more about the lines, maybe even check out about bringing that onto their operation, what's the best way for them to go about that?
So there's a couple different ways, but you can reach out to your local dealer, or if you're not sure who your local dealer is, you can go to the CLAAS website and to our dealer locator to help you find your closest CLAAS dealer out there. But there's also a lot of information available on the website and on our YouTube channel that show you a lot of the different products that we do offer besides Disco and Volto teders. And it's a great resource out there just kind of to see the different things and the designs that we have. And that's one of the key things with a lot of our stuff is it's made for durability and serviceability. And a lot of times we'll have the engineers over here looking and talking with our customers to see how they can improve stuff for the customers in the U.S. and Canada.
All right, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us today. And we look forward to seeing even more innovation coming out of CLAAS in the future.
Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful day.
Thanks again to Mark Scuffham of CLAAS for joining us on today's show. Let's go ahead and take a look at the closing market prices.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
We're here with Kenan Layden of agmarket.net, wrapping up the markets for today on this Wednesday. And Kenan, what do we see so far in the grain markets today?
Yeah, grain markets were mixed today with corn and wheat being higher, and then that soy complex coming under pressure. Continued rains in Brazil, as well as the EU has officially passed its postponement of banning imports from deforested regions, which means this next marketing year, Brazil will have no issue shipping soy and soy products into the European Union.
And then we saw from last Friday with the WASDE report, obviously still probably putting that into the marketplace a little bit. A few cuts, minor cuts to some of the projections, but still looking at a record crop. So when we look at that, having such a big crop as it is, are the markets a little more or less volatile when they have that news to kind of sit behind?
Yeah, I think the big one to look at is that soybean balance sheet. And you just talk about volatility. That soybean balance sheet right now, as it sits, is very heavy. Good U.S. crop, and then a projected good Brazil crop. And the volatility is going to come in that Brazil contract on what is the Brazil crop. Right now, it's projected big. We're going to have a lot of excess soybeans within the world. So, that market might be very volatile here as we go through planting, and then the growing season will probably be the next area within that soybean crop where we see a lot of volatility put in, especially if Brazil is not getting rains.
And at this point, we are seeing a lot of that rain go through Brazil. How quickly do we see? We know that Brazil needs to have a lot of rain since their soil is so different. At what point do we see maybe those rains taper off, or maybe they keep going? At what point do they feel confident about the rain that they get?
I would just compare that to what everyone knows up here from when they're raising crops. I don't necessarily trust a forecast 11 to 15 days out until it verifies and we get closer, and that's going to be the same story in Brazil. Yes, they got a good start here. They're getting 1 to 3 inches, maybe more in some areas across a large growing region. And so if you look at that, as far as a Midwest farmer, we get 1 to 3 inches at planting. Awesome, the crop's going to have a good start, but that doesn't mean the crop's made. So I guess you'll just have to take it week by week. There's no set in stone weather forecast that can predict out that far. So I would say it's just going to kind of be a play it and watch those weather runs and see what actually is falling and verifying.
And then on the other side of the ag marketplace with the livestock complex, how did cattle and hogs trade today?
Yeah, feeders were down, live cattle were mixed, and then the hogs were up strongly today.
And then as we're looking at that, we've talked about this a bunch of times already. The demand picture is a little interesting because we really expected Labor Day to be that kind of hard cutoff for demand, as it usually is, but that picture is still looking pretty all right. And as we get closer to the holidays, it'll pick up again, right?
Yeah, there's always those seasonal trends for demand, and the short fundamentals in the beef and prices there in the beef with a lower supply, but we're having higher carcass rates. So, the market seems to be pretty capitalistic and seems to adjust pretty well to the actual supplies and demands. It's flexible. They're importing more on the beef side, and they're slaughtering higher animals to kind of make up for the fundamental shortfall. So market seems to have adjusted, but still with that shortfall, we're seeing some higher prices.
All right, Kenan, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners who would like to get in touch and learn more from agmarket.net, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can just check us out on the web at agmarket.net. Check out some of our market information, offer some free trials, and look to find a broker in your area.
Great talking with you as always, Kenan. We look forward to more market analysis soon.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
That again was Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close through the market window at iowaagnet.com. December corn up 3.5 at 404 3/4. November soybeans down 11 even at 980 even. December soybean meal up 190 at 313.70. Soybean oil down 77 cents at 41.68. Chicago wheat up 5.5 at 585 even. Kansas City hard red wheat up 5 3/4 at 588 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat at this reporting time up 4 1/4 at 620.5. December oats up 2 even at 379 even. On the Merc, December live cattle up 7 cents at 186.60. November feeders down 97 at 245.50. December lean hogs up 247 at 77.70. December pork cutout up $1.82 at 91.20. And November class 3 milk up 9 cents at 21.13. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. That also brings us to the end of today's episode. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as our previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as Pods of Potential and the Iowa Ag Matters podcast. Find those on your favorite podcasting service at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.